JCIDA Finance Committee meeting for September 16th, 2022. We're going to stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're here today to review the preliminary budget for 2023. The LDC, and we've been provided a budget numbers here. Anything you want to go over this while?
Yeah, well, with the LDC, all of the income is pretty well fixed with the exception of the administrative fee. That's the result of completing the LDC budget, calculating a shortfall and converting it to an administrative fee that, I'm sorry, I'm on the ID.
So basically the county money are the two.
I've got to get on the right.
Yes. And then the bank money, that's the county money.
Yeah,
the marketing, yep. Okay. And the rest of it is the administrative fee.
Oh, it's over.
He was right.
Yeah, I was right. Okay, Peggy has to do this one. The county marketing program grant is in there, 275, and the ag grant at 138.
Okay.
And I don't anticipate an increase in either one of those. Going down to the expense section, we take the actual employees, and we've added one new one, and calculate the salaries and benefits based upon actual employees. And I have a big worksheet on that. Benefits are calculated pretty much automatically. And then going down to the next section on the expenses, they're the known expenses go in there like payroll processing, office expense. We look at our past history. It would appear we're going to be paying more for everything with inflation this coming year. And this is my best guess.
Yeah. What's the reallocated expenses?
Well, that's allocating program expenses to the, I have to allocate them to the ag program and the marketing program.
Okay.
Do you have a feel on how much the increases are across the board?
Well, I'm hoping it's not much more than 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
It could go higher, depending.
We did ask the county for a little bit more this coming year. I think I rounded up to 276. I have to go back and double check when I put it down, but for the marketing and 140 for the ag. It really goes up.
No, there's one thing I want to point out that is not in here. The ARPA funds, the grant funds that we receive, actually have to flow through income as they're dispersed. They're in a deferred liability account on the balance sheet, and until they're ready for dispersal, they remain a deferred liability. Then when they flow through income, they go into income and out on expense. Mm-hmm. I'm anticipating that when you're giving money away, we're not going to have any left to give away next year, so I did not budget anything.
Okay.
We're requesting, so that there is going to be a second round of county ARPA funds. And I've been advised it won't be we had like almost $4.5 million last year, between everything. We're looking maybe two max, I'm not sure exactly. So putting together a proposal for the county, so they can float that through my county leadership. But looking at, again, recreating the program we had last year, but we wouldn't have the issue on there in terms of the PCD remediation. We won't have the $1.5 million there. That's for the sewer project. So be focused on recreating the programs, except one thing we want to avoid is getting into the deferred rental maintenance program again. That was just there. I mean, Marshall and Joy put a lot of work into administering that thing. It's just you got to monitor it. It's one that could be potential for abuse, and it's just some of the characters are dealing with. But for the ag food resiliency, Jay and Extension have put together a plan. We're going to look for $500,000. And this time, instead of being value added, we really need, when you look at what's happening in the economy and food supply, is actually increasing production. So this year's round will focus on grants to increase production, various ag, dairy, meat, produce, whatever. But It could be equipment or things, not for value-added processing, not for, but, equipment and things that can actually help them boost their production. So, and then we'll look at recreating again, I think the small business productivity program, that seems very popular. And I'll talk with Marshall, we haven't talked yet, but we may put some more into the training, but maybe not as much because that program has not been in as high demand yet. We've kept applicants, we've had a few not-for-profits ask for funds for the training. We said, well, I think our understanding with the county intent is for business skill development.
Is that still open?
It's still open, yep. So,
The one that's not is their own property.
and then we'll look at maybe recreating another allocation of the child care program, but probably altogether keeping about 2 million or less.
So with that criteria, back to the food resilience.
Yeah.
If you center another round toward production
Mhm.
and you have a couple of projects that really still fall under processing, you can still handle them, right? It's not, they aren't gonna get ruled out because they're no longer production.
Well,
It's still,
What we're hoping to do is, it would focus, that fund would be just for production, things to improve production, but if we can squeeze in there, we'll see if the county's willing, if they want to throw another 100,000, we'll see if we can pick up a few more value-added processing projects as well. But, feel the priority should be now in getting the production up, so we have that, increase that availability of local food supply.
and on the production side, it would still be that $50,000 cap,
It'd be a $20,000 cap. in this case,
$20,000 cap.
Just so you know too, I think we mentioned this before, but of the money that's been allocated, the 400,000 for this first round, well, there was no match requirement. That 400,000 ended up being matched by about 350,000. So, you had 750,000 total investments, it was almost totally matched, just by the nature of the projects.
So in terms of the wages and salaries, where's the county at with adjustments?
I don't know, I'll check.
I read somewhere where Lewis County is giving out retention bonuses to some of their employees. Is that something Jefferson County gonna think about too? Or?
I have not heard any talk of that.
I didn't know with the economic condition with the inflation being so high, are the adjustments gonna be a typical adjustment or would it be above a typical adjustment? Do we have any of that? Where are you at, Lyle, as far as the adjustment on wages?
On this particular budget, I put 5% in
Okay.
because of inflation primarily. And I think we need to do some catching up on salaries.
So you kind of have that covered then, all right?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but my evaluation is, we've had additional revenue from the pilot and the leasebacks from solar, that's actually helping offset so that the
Yeah.
county, we don't have to go back to the county to ask for the direct increases to some degree, right?
Well,
Our
I don't
allocation-
We
think
did ask
they-
for a mild direct
Yeah.
increase. We
I
didn't want to.
Yeah, I don't know that they've
Nothing
ever
significant.
considered the direct increases. I think it's been more of a fixed amount. And we go back,
Right.
have gone back periodically.
Right.
It's been very seldom.
Because the county funding is for a specific purpose, for the business outreach and marketing and the ag program. It's not our general.
But we've had an increase in revenue,
Yes.
other
Slight
than
Yeah.
county allocation.
Now, whether we'll have the same amount next year, we don't know, because some of this old,
Well,
let's see.
doesn't affect it.
Well, my reason, my question, we typically follow the county's
Yeah.
adjustments, and I didn't know if they were
Yeah.
doing anything out of the ordinary this year.
I'll check into that.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the thing about Lewis County, but I've not heard anything addressing it.
All right. Anything else, Lyle?
No, unless there are any questions, I have detail of the ag program. And there, the ag budget did not change from last year. If I go a little farther, we'll find that I think I have, there it is. The marketing program, that budget changed slightly, as did the manufacturing. But no significant changes in any of them.
One question I had under Jay's budget, that health insurance allocation was like $9,000 less. What
Well, you had less than, you had, if you're looking
It
at
went
last
from
year's budget, it's a
29
15-month budget.
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
This was 15 months.
okay, all
22 is
right, that's
15
all right,
months.
all right.
Yeah,
I
this
was,
is,
I was going along with you and I forgot that myself.
yeah, this is the, this is the actual rate, insurance rate. And employees pay 15% of
Yeah.
the benefits, so this is an actual.
Yeah, all right, that explains
Question
it.
I had, what's the auto insurance under Jay's budget for $9,100? What's that?
Auto insurance?
Where? Under J's?
Yeah,
I don't,
Where?
712010. On
That's
page-
not J's.
On page
That's-
5.
that's
Regular
marketing.
operating.
Regular marketing, I'm sorry.
I think J's ends where it says ag, non-labor overhead, and then where it says operating, that's regular
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So what is auto insurance?
Is it auto like a renewing auto?
We do have auto insurance, yes.
Yeah.
Part of our package.
Part of our.
Part of our package
Yep.
for covering them. and
Oh, for like,
traveling or
traveling on the
something.
job. All right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because we don't
I
use our
think
own
that's,
vehicles.
that's commercial and
91
auto insurance, it's part of our commercial policy.
So it's not, well, so it's on personal, I assume it's kind of a blanket policy that covers personal vehicles under
Yeah.
office use kind of thing.
Yes, that's correct.
So it's like a blanket
Yeah,
policy.
the 9,100 is a total commercial premium for the year.
Is that because the commercial rate is so high, Lyle? Because it does seem like a lot for auto. I mean, you are.
Well, the auto is covered under the commercial policy. No, the auto coverage is probably only $300 or something.
We probably need to
That's
change,
a
we need to change that line then,
That's
so
just a line.
it's more
It
accurate.
really should say commercial insurance. In fact, on the budget, if you look under the expenses, it does say commercial insurance. Right after the D&O insurance.
Okay, we need to fix that line.
And on the D&O insurance, we're covered on the IDA policy
Right.
as additional insurance.
Can you change the line description? Can you change that line description?
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on this?
I move we send it to the board.
Second?
Second.
Rob, second?
Yeah. Oh, since we have Rob on the phone too, Rob, I was just talking earlier about submitting for more ARPA funding, which would be probably a little less than half we got last year. But you had mentioned at the last meeting, the possibility of doing something with the waterfront properties that suffered, because of low water. But kind of talking to
Yeah,
some
you
folks.
consider something.
Yeah, talking to some of the people in the tourism industry, the challenge there, with the high water stuff, you had damage, so you're actually helping them with physical improvement, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The challenge of trying to do something in this case, there wasn't necessarily any damage, it's just kind of a loss of business. So
Okay.
we looked at it, but just, the only thing we can do to help is just kind of just make direct payments, not for any particular use, so.
Okay, and our agency's called economic development, right?
Yeah.
So if there's an economic damage and we would otherwise develop you can consider something, but I would think loss of business through environmental conditions could be just as much as real property losses. But anyway, if it's not feasible, that's fine. It was an idea.
Yeah, no, it was a valid idea, but I'm just not sure how we manage something like that effectively.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if it's something that's not necessarily, look, nobody's coming to ask, but I would think the low water has affected tourism
Oh,
and economics much more than the damage of high water.
Yeah, it
That's why
has.
people can walk with boots in high
Right,
water,
yeah,
but you can't go take a boat tour
Yeah,
with low
yeah,
water. So
yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
ask Ed what would happen if there's a drought or heavy rain to farms. They
Yeah.
both are equally damaging.
Yeah, I agree. There's just, the challenge, we'd have to have something on the scale of like the PPP program, like the SBA
Okay.
had. That,
No,
you need something like that
anyway, it can't be
to
done.
address something of that nature.
I would think this is gonna have a significant impact too. Luckily, it's at the tail end of the season.
You mentioned that in agriculture, Rob, I find it interesting. Most farms today couldn't survive without the help of the federal government.
Yeah.
And they've moved some of their priorities to cover those shortfalls to actually revenue loss sharing. So, I mean, you look at the marinas that lose revenue because of low water. To some degree, we have that in agriculture, big time.
But if it's not manageable, Dave, that's fine. It was a concept. Just throwing out my 2 cents that it does seem to be peculiar that if there's a physical loss, it's okay, but if there's a real loss, balance sheet. So, anyway,
No, it's a creative idea. We keep looking at it. Just,
Good point.
It'll be recurring, that's for sure.
Any further discussion on the budget? All in favor?
I,
Pass. Anything else for this meeting? A motion to adjourn?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. So we'll move on to the IDA, call to order the IDA Finance Committee meeting for September 16, 2022. And we have before us a budget for 2023 to review. You want to start or any?
Yeah, most of the income is pretty well fixed, RLF fees and micro fees and bond administration. There's some guesswork on some of the interest income, but we can calculate it pretty closely. The big item is the pilot sale leaseback fees. And here again, in order to come up with this number, I put everything together for the IDA. I have to bring in the admin fee as an expense, and then I have bottom line shortfall, and in this case, it's $1.2 million. That is up about $300,000 over what we would have budgeted on a 12-month period last year. On a 15-month period, it's just about the same. And it's a big number. We need to sell a lot of solar projects in order to arrive at it. But if we want a zero bottom line on the budget, that's what we need. Let's see if I can.
So what are the highlights to the increase then? Wow.
Well, just general overall increase in the admin fee is a big one. And we have some minor increases in insurance, nothing.
Does this include the bad debt deal?
It does include bad debt, and I would like to discuss that separately.
Yeah.
Because I'm recommending increasing the micro enterprise bad debt to 90,000. And it's at 30 right now, so there's another 60 there. Okay. In fact,
Dave, do we have a horizon for next year as far as solar opportunities next year? Cover some of those.
I think what we may have noticed next year are the large scale projects. We haven't, well, we just had the last 2 community scale projects we had with the Watertown renewables north and south. We got a couple of the ones from this past year still closing, pending closing. I've not heard, doesn't mean they're not coming, but I haven't heard of many smaller scale, what we're anticipating now with the large scale, and then a lot of that depends on what we end up doing for those projects, if anything. So Bill's gonna get back to us. We're gonna do a meeting with some county representatives first, just kind of feel them out what they're open to for, because right now their policy is full taxation of the county, for any large scale project. But just kind of feel out what might be possible, what they might be open to, and then we'll bring that information to have a renewable alternative.
Is that something that's a roadblock for a lot of these guys coming into the county then, do you think?
It could be, we'll see. I mean, if we may be in a position where we say, well, the county wants full taxes, you're only gonna get a break on the school in town. They could say, well, never mind, or they could say, well, we're gonna do it anyways, But, I mean, the school is typically the largest portion, it's about 55% in general, it's about 55%, it could be anywhere from 54, 58, of the total property tax package, and the towns are usually 10 to maybe 15%, a little under 10. The county's usually around 30, 35%, so.
it's my understanding though, that the 2 big projects, the Boralex project and both the Tracy Wind Farm, are planning on building out this coming year.
Yeah.
I mean, in the spring, they want to start fast and furious.
So so we're probably gonna be hearing from them pretty soon. I mean, I haven't heard from either one of them in months, but
All it takes is one or two of those big projects, and we'll hit that million too, I'm sure.
But even if they're building out in the spring, that would almost fall under this year, right, numbers?
No,
Of the 23 budget? Yes.
If they came to us today or tomorrow, does it still, it falls under 23 then numbers?
Well,
well, depending on when we close the pilot.
That's what I mean.
My guess is it probably would be 23 because these larger projects, there'll be a longer process because we're gonna add probably another 2 months at least. One will be kind of negotiating at what's acceptable pilot rate, assuming we come to something. Then we've got to go, because of the deviation, we have to go to the county needs 2 months because they have to go to their committee before they can go to the full legislature. And then we have to,
The
tax
time-wise,
numbers.
it's gonna fall into it.
So,
Yeah, even if they put an application in now, we won't close before the
Yeah.
first of the year.
Yeah,
There's no way.
definitely not.
and the big hurdle is gonna be where the county falls on taxation.
Right.
So has there ever been a pilot? Could there be a pilot where the town and the school districts accept whatever the 50% and the county stays at 100%?
Yeah, so basically.
It's a deviation.
Yeah, it's a deviation. So the county would be part of the pilot. So we would still collect a pilot fee, but our fee now would be, rather than 50% off all of the affected taxing jurisdictions, it'd be the full portion. Typically we distribute, we make the payments pro rata, right? In that case, we'd still be collecting the total payment, but we'd distribute the county what they would otherwise have gotten for full taxes. And the others would get what they agreed to pro rata on the.
Well, in
It would be
reality,
something other than a pro rata basis if the county gets the full amount.
Right.
And that it would be pro rata between the other taxing jurisdictions. So it'd be sort of a hybrid.
so
we
would
do-
they get some benefit back from rather than being a 50% abatement? For the town and school district, could it actually end up
Well, It's,
as it's
it's not actually an abatement, Ed, it's a fixed amount for the pilot per megawatt.
right?
So that becomes a fixed amount, that escalates by 2% per year, then we invert that. And we would distribute the full amount to the county. We'd calculate the assessment and what the county taxes would be, and then we would prorate probably the town and the school, or once in a while, there wouldn't be a village.
But in the end, they are effectively abated because what they'll be paying, hypothetically, is going to be less than what full taxes would be. So yeah, that would be abated.
But in reality, do you think the school boards and the town boards are going to settle for 50%, knowing that the county's getting 100% in the process?
I don't know. I can't speak for them. It depends how important the revenue is to them and whether the project will go ahead with or without the pilot. I don't know.
And sometimes they like the pilot just so they know that for financing
Yeah,
purposes,
yeah,
that,
yeah.
It's set in stone exactly what they're getting.
Well, I just had some back and forth with RIC, the new one we just went through. That's RIC. Where's that? Well, that's one in Mullen. And they're asking about sales tax, and I explained why we don't do the sales tax in the county that for. I said, but they didn't realize that there was still a state sales tax benefit. I said, you still get, at least on the generation, there's an automatic state and local exemption that way. Just the county doesn't want to give you the additional sales tax benefit on the ancillary stuff, the fences, the roads. And then they also talk about the pilot fee and what their benefit was. I said, well, it's up to you. You need to decide if it's worth it or not. I said, I realize on this project, because it's smaller, the benefit to you isn't great for what you're paying for the pilot fees, whatever, but you do have the advantage of at least having that predictability. I said, yeah, we'll do it anyway, just for that reason. So
Yeah.
In terms of the Arsenal Street project, wow, we're done with any expenses from that?
Yes, we are. The only thing we will have is depreciation on the Arsenal Street building, because we still own it. But,
What's the legal for the YMCA? What's that?
well, that's anticipated that we're going to have to pay that much. I don't have any particular reason in mind other than the fact that these things pop up.
we charge that back to them anyway. So.
And I would rather have something in there than eliminate it.
The thing you're gonna see is like there's two modest bills we had for the remediation that fell through the cracks on our end. Like a $4,000 one and an $8,000 one, I think, right? You'll see the check detail in the next report. Or was that on last month's? I think it's probably the one coming up.
I don't remember.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember if we paid it this month. It might have been
He was
this
paid,
month.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
But as far as additional, no. We should leave it.
We don't expect any expenses for the Houndsville water line or wherever any of that coming down through there, anything like that.
Not for the Houndsfield portion of it, no. In the end, when it gets built, if we, depending on what the cost is and what the debt service is, well, by that point, hopefully we'll be out of it and it'll be Convault, but Convault and the airport will be paying their share, pro rata share of the
And
debt
then we
service.
also have the grant that's
Yeah.
going to Houndsfield
Yes,
for
yeah,
construction.
yeah. So that's
We
gonna
paid
pass.
200 and some thousand, we're down to just under 1,300,000 that I would anticipate will transfer this year rather than next year.
And we have asked the county not to come through us, but for the area to put another 500,000 in there toward that project. Yeah, to further reduce the debt service. It's really to their benefit,
They just got a check, or just got a grant for the airport, so.
Well, I mean, the airport, what they've got to look at is what they're paying now for cleaning out those septic tanks. And they've got one they've got to clean out every few weeks, versus what the debt service would be. If they get the service down to a reasonable amount, they can, they would like to have sewers here as long as they can afford to pay it. But, they can't jump from, $10,000 and what they're paying now to $19,000 for
Right.
debt service. But
Okay, anything else, Lyle?
Yes, on the bad debt allowance. The micro bad debt is at 90,000. And did this sheet get distributed?
Yes.
I've identified the accounts on there that I anticipate having problems with. So I increased the reserve to 90,000 to cover those in the event that we have to write them off.
I mean, the one with Colleen's cherry tree, she kind of got hit with COVID. Did she ever recover? Now it's a year. Is she starting to get business back again? or-
Well, I
we're
driven
operating.
by there numerous times and they seem to be busy. We'll be getting financials at the end of the year, so it's been a struggle for it.
Yeah. I mean, when you write them off, do you not get any money from them anymore?
We turn them over to collection, yes.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. And sometimes we get a recovery. Not often, but sometimes.
So once you turn them to collection, though, you give up.
Well,
What do you split whatever they recover with a collection agency? How much of their cut do they get for collection?
I think it's about a third.
A third?
I'm thinking of changing our collection agency. I think that we need to talk to Harris Beach about doing collections for us.
Yeah, we talked about that.
There isn't anyone in town that we've had any luck with, so we will be looking at that closer.
Now, so is it safe to say anybody in the micro enterprise loan that defaults, doesn't it pretty much destroy their credit? I mean, we don't do judgments, we don't do,
We might with a new collection agency.
Right now, they're not.
Right now, they don't
I
do
hate
it.
even saying that publicly.
because, I'm just kind of perturbed with the one there right now. It's like, there's been no good faith effort. There's been no demonstration of a struggle. It's just,
didn't we expect some sort of collateral up against these loans as well?
Usually we're in the second position on all collateral. If they're with a bank, the bank is first. We're always the second.
Or personal guarantees or something that,
We get those and they're worth about a cup of spit in my opinion.
what happened to the standard machine? What's going on with him?
We can send him a default letter.
Yeah, he's been given a default letter and we're going to discuss collection of that with Harris Beach.
This business never took off or?
He hadn't communicated with us.
Well, he didn't communicate with us and
Did he close it?
No, he's still open. I think he either fired his machinist or his machinist quit because he wasn't paying him. And he's trying to do it, and it appears he's not as qualified as his machinist was.
I think where he ended up not getting all the customers transferring over, right, from the previous owner that he had just expected. Remember that?
Well, if you don't have anyone to do the work and do it properly, you're not going to pick up the business that they did have.
Well, he was the only show in town then,
He
you know,
was, yes.
so he just, I mean, they moved from one location to another,
Yeah.
same guys. And I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be booked out straight. But
Oh, they should be.
if they're not managing it, then
Watertown Savings Bank is in the first position on this. And
Chris is gonna get her money.
this,
Maybe
this
not.
particular individual is, my son knows him very well, and he's had the old company do a lot of work on his chargers and so on. He hasn't had him do anything right since he took over the new guy. So
Really?
that's a problem.
Where's he located?
Down at Talcott Falls.
So that's what I thought.
Yeah.
On the left, you got the south.
The brick building on the hill.
So our recommendation is going to be to increase the bad debt allowance to 90,000, and that will be done before year end. The RLF, I would like to keep the same. Now, the methodology that we have, we're using the 3-year moving average. And the 3-year moving average for the RLF and the micro would be 0, which is unrealistic. So I've identified the accounts on the micro. The RLF, I don't have any accounts that I believe are bad. One may be shaky, but I believe it's a temporary thing. So I would recommend keeping the RLF allowance at the same level.
Okay. Any other
He's
questions?
been very good.
So keeping it at the same level, we won't have to contribute any more into it, right?
No.
I mean, that's where we're at with it right
Yeah,
now.
you don't, it's simply an entry on the books, and we don't really set up a reserve,
Yeah.
cash reserve per se.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Lyle?
One, under the legal, when we went to Harris Beach, and, you know, there was a little bit of a heartache over that versus, you know, having to bump outside of local firms. Is it a fair assessment to say it looks like after a year with Harris Beach, which are expensive lawyers in Albany, that really we're not paying any more for representation from Harris Beach and a legal budget than we
No,
were?
well, it's particularly because in many cases, the applicant pays the legal fees. So this is simply a retainer, and we get some minor charges other than that. But the big difference is, I believe it's being done properly.
Right. Saves us a lot of time. I mean, it's the retainer's a little bit more.
Yeah,
monthly retainer,
slightly.
But just, there's a difference that we're seeing in terms of the quality of the agreements, stuff that's done, saving a lot of staff time.
Yeah.
And keeping us out of trouble.
Yeah.
And actually, we have to go back and kind of correct some, you know, like when some of these solar products have come back to do the assignment, we use that as an opportunity for Harris Beach to kind of correct the agreement. So,
And in defense of Joe Russell, many of these contracts were not done by Joe, they were done in Utica, I believe it was.
Yeah, down the chain.
All right, Rob, you have any questions or comments?
Only question I might have on the, and I agree with everything you discussed, at one time, we had talked, Lyle, about actually writing off, 2 of the items you Xed out on the bad debt this particular calendar year, so that's being scrapped.
No, we may do that before the end of the year, Rob.
Okay.
What I think we need to do is, as discussed with Harris Beach, using them as our collection agent.
Actually, remind me, is that something, do we need board action to do that, or is that something we just do?
Well, I
Yeah,
think,
to write out.
All right, so.
yeah,
all right,
write it off.
All right, so we'll readjust now, maybe we do that in the next meeting.
Well, I think we should wait until the year end before we write anything off. I'm going to adjust the reserve now, so it will be in there.
Right, we'll start talking,
And then we'll talk
discussion.
about writing things off, probably November, December.
Well, that'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Next board meeting's October, so.
Make a
That was my
motion.
only question.
That's it, Rob?
That was my only question.
Okay. A motion to move this to the board.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Anything else for this meeting?
Do you want a separate motion for the bad debt? Or is it all just, it's gonna be in the minutes.
Yeah,
so-
I don't think we need a separate.
Okay.
I don't think so, not as part of, it's part of the budget.
Yeah, if we changed it other than during the budget, we would.
We all set?
So, I guess the next one is
Motion to adjourn.
civic facility.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned, so we move into the JCCFDC Financial Committee meeting for 2016-22 to review the 2023 budget.
The only thing we have on there is some processing fees for next year. JCC, Samaritan Village, and Samaritan Medical Center totaling $8,200. We are no longer being billed any expenses for the tax returns, and so we have no expenses, we should have only income.
I'll move we approve it. Only income? That's good.
Second? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anything else for this committee?
Motion to
The
adjourn.
only thing I'd like to point out is we have a major grant that comes in our name for the YMCA. It's about, what, 9 million, give or take a little.
9 million.
And I didn't put anything in the budget on that. That's a pass-through. And I think if we put in a $9 million income and a $9 million expense item, it's probably going to distort things and raise many questions at the state level. And I'm handling it much the same as we do our pilot things. We do not budget them. They come in and they go right out. So I guess we should be aware of that.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good
and
strategy.
We get it right out as soon as it comes
As
in.
soon as it comes in, Joy processes it, and way to go.
Timeline on that and their process, is that upon completion of the build out, or
Oh, no, they're getting interim.
On this one, you can, as you move along, you
you can draw down on it?
for what you spent to date. you know.
Well, that's gotta be very helpful for
Yeah.
a construction contract.
Well, yeah, it helps. I mean, when I've been involved in other grants in the past, it's much easier when if you don't have to wait till the end, because you can kind of pay what you can afford, get reimbursed, because you might kind of keep it moving.
Is that an accountant question, or just gonna leave it?
I think you did check with Liz
Oh,
on
yeah,
that
yeah,
one,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
you?
Yeah.
I think you did check with Liz. I remember seeing some kind of questions.
Yep, we did talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Marshall and I, we toured the building yesterday real quick, this project site, and I mean, a few things are behind, a few things are ahead, but overall, they're on, you know, the Purcell fields are on schedule. They're doing a great job managing
incredible.
this thing, though. Incredible what they keep track of. Great job.
In the interior, the wall, is
All
amazing.
the framing's up.
Pro framing.
Yeah.
You can start to kind of feel where things are. It's amazing.
I mean, there's still duct work and plumbing and all that stuff that we put into place. You know, you can see we're starting to put in the piping units for the bathroom stalls and
The huge holes for the pools.
Good.
And we're doing, next week, what is it?
Tuesday.
Marshall's arranging, I'm gonna be out of town vacation, but National Grid's gonna come and do a check presentation for 300,000 for the PCB remediation, so.
Nice.
Will that be Joe?
Yeah.
Big check.
Yeah. Jerry, him.
Yeah, there's a number of national.
I don't think it'll fit through my RDS machine.
My wallet. I'll just try to throw it in the back of the truck and take it down to WSB.
The really big check.
Yeah, really big.
So on the meeting, Dave, you made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guess we're done on that.
Recordings.
Perfect. Rob,